Last week I posted a video on dialing in Master of Puppets tone using this beautiful Jackson King V as well as some other gear that was lying around my house that I crudely hobbled together. To be honest, this was one of the more fun videos that I've made for this channel. I like puzzles, and going through the Fleming Rasmussen Master of Puppets notes and whatever bits and pieces of information I could find on the internet to inform my tone making decisions was a lot of fun. I may do this with another tone in the future since it seems like something you guys really enjoyed, but I need to explain to you why that video didn't include the footage that I'm about to show you and why this second video even exists in the first place. If you haven't seen the video that I'm talking about, I will link it in the description for reference. Originally what happened was Sweetwater approached me about making a video to promote their new Instagram campaign called Covering Gear. The original idea was that we would make 2 videos and post one to the Sweetwater YouTube channel and one to my YouTube channel. So originally I made a first cut and I sent it to them, and I planned on following up with this video on my channel since it was different things that they may not want to include on their channel. However, and this is not uncommon with YouTube at all, about 48 hours before the video was scheduled to go live, they contacted me saying there was a problem with the video. They have to be very careful about using content pulled from the internet that they don't have license to, like stock pictures of James Hetfield's rig or like this picture of Lars Ulrich as a toilet. However, with me being a content creator, I can use these images for educational and transformative purposes. I mean, look at it, it's a picture of Lars Ulrich. Someone's gonna in his lap. So we went back and forth about what to do. One option was to remove any pictures or videos that Sweetwater couldn't use, but that felt really weird to me. It's just not the same trying to talk to you about the gear lore behind Master of Puppets while I'm showing you product pages on Sweetwater's website. And to Sweetwater's credit, they felt the same way. They liked the cut of the video that I sent them, and we both thought it was in the viewer's best interest to leave all the nerdy gear lore, so we agreed to post it on my channel instead. However, we were about 24 hours out at this point, and I still have probably 3 hours of footage to cut down, so including it all in the original video just wouldn't have been possible. So here we are with part 2 of the Metallica Master of Puppets saga. There's a couple things that I wanted to do originally that we're going to cover in this video. I wanted to include a fully digital rig. For that, we're going to use the ToneMaster Pro, not only because they have a Mark II C+ amp included, but there's also a stock preset called Puppet Master, so we'll see if that's any good. And I also wanted to do a pedal rig for all of you pedal people out there. Oh, hey there. You forgot about today's sponsor, didn't you? Today's video is brought to you by Sweetwater and Morley. Are you experiencing the maddening sound of ground hum in your studio or rehearsal space? It's enough to drive most of us crazy, and chasing down the source can not only be time consuming, but really costly. Unless you have a friend who's a good electrician. Luckily, today's sponsor, Morley, has you covered. Morley has 3 different devices that help get that unwanted noise under control. There's the MHE 2-channel stereo hum eliminator, which features a combination of a stereo pair of 1/4 inch ins and outs, as well as XLR ins and outs for when you need to quickly eliminate any ground loop hum in your signal path. It breaks ground loops safely while leaving ground signals intact. It's also passive and requires no external power source. Then there's the Humno, which goes in between the offending gear and its power source to kill the ground loop hum right where it starts. It includes a status LED so you know when it's working, and is a superior alternative to ground lift type devices. And lastly, the Hum Exterminator, which plugs directly into an outlet and stops the ground loop hum at the wall. It removes ground noise while leaving your ground signal intact for safety, and works with any 3-prong outlet that doesn't draw more than 6 amps of power. And of course, they have bundled all of these together in a kit of ground loop hum killing awesomeness called the Morley Hum Eliminating Toolkit. I know I'm supposed to say something that's slightly comical to keep this ad going, but I'm guessing the majority of you have faced this problem at some point in your own guitar playing journey. And this is a quick and easy fix. There's not much else to say about it. So thank you so much to Sweetwater and Morley for sponsoring this video. If you want to eliminate hum in your home studio or on stage, then you know what to do. Use the link in the description. It is greatly appreciated. Back to the tone. Okay, we have the same Master of Puppets settings that we left off on. I'm plugged into this Marshall EL34 100 stereo power amp. This is basically the power section of 2 100-watt JCM 800s in one rack unit. It's very noisy. You can probably hear the fan on the back of it right now. Now, in terms of tone, I'm not noticing a dramatic difference in the tone. We're a little bit brighter, if anything. I think in all fairness, if I was recording this like in another room at a studio or something like that, and you really turned up the master volume, you would probably notice, well, not probably, you would notice a lot more headroom with the 100-watt amp. That 50-watt amp will get squishier at loud volumes, more compression. So, you know, maybe I actually don't. If you know the reason for this, I would love to hear it in the comments below, because I haven't been able to find an authoritative reason, but I'm actually really curious why they slaved the Mark II C+s into the JCM 800s. I assume that it has to do with the EL34s and the higher wattage, but that could be totally off base, and I'm really curious if anyone out there has any information on this. I'd love to educate myself on this. But, you know, getting back to the tone here, let's turn the EQ off again. So this is no EQ. In the room, that actually sounds more accurate to me, but you know, the notes say that there's a big bump at like 4.2K, so I don't know. Now, I hope that there's one thing that I can impress upon you going through this whole exercise we're doing of like Master of Puppets tones. It's how important having an EQ pedal is, because maybe you have an amp that you don't really like that feels flat. If that amp has an effects loop, an EQ can be a valuable tool. It can really like change a lot of the characteristics of an amplifier that you maybe want to accentuate, or things that you don't like, you can cut out, you know? Okay, so now knowing how important the EQ is in this signal chain, there is an EQ pedal that actually recreates the EQ, I can't remember what it's called, but the EQ that was used on Master of Puppets. I'll put it on the screen right now. Let's plug that in real quick. Uh-oh, if I can find it. Shit, and it actually has top jacks and will sit on this board, which is great. Okay, this is the Puppet Master EQ. Pretty on the nose, right? This is the Puppet Master EQ by the homies over at Master Effects. Maybe something like that. Let's try it. Yeah, that actually sounds more accurate to me. Let's turn it off. The EQ, super duper important. And since this is a more accurate solution to what was being used on the Master of Puppets tone on the album, I think that we'll just stick with this one for the rest of the video. But the next thing I want to do, I actually want to plug in the Fender Tone Master Pro. Now there's a specific reason that I want to plug in the Fender Tone Master Pro. I want to see not only what we can do with a modeler digitally, but the Fender Tone Master Pro actually has the Mark II C+ in it. And not only that, it actually has a Master of Puppets preset. So we're going to see how close that is. And it's not going to be close, but we're going to see how they have it set up, and then I'm going to see if I can get it closer, knowing what we know now. So, okay, we're plugged into the Tone Master Pro. This is stock preset number 5, Puppet Master. So let's see if it sounds like Master of Puppets. Now, I don't know what that sounds like to you, but to me that doesn't sound like Master Puppet. It sounds like a gross approximation kind of it. But let's see if we could take some of the stuff that we've learned from using the analog gear and apply it to the Tone Master Pro and see if we can get it closer. Because spoiler, I think we can. This is an interesting thing. Right away, there's a tube screamer in this chain, and I didn't see anything about a tube screamer being used. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I don't know. I'm not James Hetfield. I look more like Dave Mustaine. But, you know, I didn't see anything about a tube screamer being used. So let's just bypass this. And then we're going to go to the amp. And the amp, I mean, you know, it's more or less there. One of the things with the built-in model on the Tone Master Pro, though, is we don't have the lead gain and then the volume from the other channel, that stack here. So I feel like you kind of have to approximate some of it. And this is not what I saw on the Fleming Rasmussen notes. So let's try and get this a little bit closer. You know, it's closer, but it's still not there. We're still just missing a lot of something. So, I think what I want to do here is I want to go into the cabinet here, and you'll notice they have this mega shadow 4x12, which is weird because it's not what was used on the album. So let's just switch this. We actually have a 4x12 British G65. So let's go with that. Why not, right? Let's compare that to the T75. The T75 sounds a little bit smoother to me. I don't know, it's hard to say. I'm gonna stick with the T75. Maybe it was the G1265 on the album, I'm not sure, but I think that the 75 just does it. Okay, we have a 57. I'm gonna put that on the center of the cap, how I have the actual cap mic'd up. Hopefully this isn't too shrill. And we do have a high cut on at 20 𝐓𝐇𝐀𝐍𝐿. For the sake of our ears, it's not making a huge difference, but I'm gonna high cut that at 7600. We don't have a way to throw multiple mics on a cabinet, but what we can do, I think, I'm gonna try. We're gonna do an instrument parallel. We're gonna drag the cabinet into this loop here. And then on the other side of this loop, we're gonna put another cabinet. The furthest we go away on this side is 6 inches, so I'm just gonna do that. And I'm actually going to, we'll do this off axis. But we don't want a 57, we want some sort of condenser microphone on here. C414, perfect. Let's see if we're closer now. Yeah, I guess it's kind of closer. I love the folks at Fender, but it's kind of a weird patch setup for Master Puppets tone. It's like they didn't read the Fleming Rasmussen notes or anything. You know, you don't have to read those notes. You can just have fun. It's most of what this is about. We're gonna go into an EQ here, and we're just gonna add in, what do we have that I mean, we only have a couple EQ options. We do have this EQ that is like the Boss EQ that I was using earlier, so, you know we can get a pretty good result with that. So let's just, let's maybe set it something like that. It definitely did it, but Jesus Christ, is that ear piercing. You know, it sounds like it's trying really hard, and I commend that. But it feels like the internal cabs is kind of what's holding it up, to me at least. Let's actually plug that into the power amp at the cabinet here and see how that sounds. And by the way, if I haven't said it already, I will put an IR of this cabinet up. I'll put all 3 microphones individually on my Discord. So if you want it, you can play around with them. You can blend the different things. You know, you can do that for yourself. See what results you get with it. But let's do power amp and cabinet and see if that helps. We're still just really not there at all. I'm probably like overdoing it here with the treble boost a little bit. We're way closer now. The EQ definitely helps, but I just feel like this isn't getting nearly as close as the Synergy module. And that's not to say that like all digital modelers are gonna have this problem or this is an inherently digital problem. This is just the Tone Master Pro specifically. It doesn't sound bad, it just is behaving differently. And that's probably, I'm guessing, why they dialed it in differently than according to the Fleming Rasmussen notes. They probably dialed it in, you know, by ear rather than by what the notes said. All right, I wanna do one more thing though, and I wanna use just pedals. And the reason I wanna use just pedals is because Master Effects actually released a pedal that is a recreation of the Mark II C+, you know, just like in pedal form factor. And well, let's just plug it in and then I'll start talking about it. This is the Trinity by Master Effects. It is a recreation of the Mark II C+ in pedal form factor. And we actually have a deep switch with this, which is nice. And I'm running that with the Puppet Master EQ. You just heard it with both. Here, let's actually turn the Puppet Master EQ off and you can hear just the pedal. Let's turn the pedal on here. Kind of f***ed that riff up, but that's okay. Let's turn the lows up here a little bit. We're just helping fill out that low end a little bit because a lot of times with pedals, you know, it sounds like a little bit smaller, like it's just, so to me, this actually sounds very good for what, I mean, we have 2 pedals. We are running through my EL3400, which, you know, say what you will, maybe it feels like a cheat code. I just did this because it was here set up already. But I feel like it sounds pretty close to what we had with the Synergy rig. Now, I am gonna dial this drive back here a little bit. Yeah, man, I mean, I think this is there. Now, when I was looking for Mark II C+ alternatives, I started looking at different things. The Synergy module was the most obvious one to me because I already owned it. But when I was looking for different pedals, in terms of analog pedals, there wasn't really much out there. Like, this was the only one that I found. And obviously the Master of Puppet Stone is something that Master Effects cares about because, you know, they released the Trinity preamp pedal and then the Puppet Master EQ. It seems like very on brand for Master Effects. So I thought we would include these pedals in here just for that reason alone. And they helped out a lot too, especially the Puppet Master EQ. Okay, so my main takeaway after going through this whole exercise is the thing that was dramatically making a big difference was the EQ and then the cabinet, especially like in the Fender, in the ToneMaster Pro. But just when I was experimenting before even shooting this video, I noticed how big of a deal the cabinet was in the mic placements. They really do play a dramatic role in the tone. And then again, the immediate thing that you'll notice is the EQ. Now with the preamp sound, I feel like, yeah, the 2C+ is pretty important if you want to follow the notes. You know, like if you want to go on that scavenger hunt and follow the Fleming Rasmussen notes to a T, then, you know, you probably need something with like a graphic EQ and something that has like similar gain structure. But I feel like you could probably swap that out for a lot of different things. As long as you have an EQ in the loop, and as long as you have a power amp that's sort of comparable to an EL34 sort of sound, you'll probably get there. But the main thing is going through a Marshall cabinet because it just has a really distinct sound. And again, you know, with the microphone choices. One unintended side effect of this gear voyage is that during this whole process, I learned a lot about Metallica as a band, and I probably went really far off the rails. I mean, I was basically mainlining Metallica riffs into my veins for a week straight so that I could familiarize myself with them beyond my casual knowledge up to that point. Also, I wanted to include this little segment somewhere, but I didn't know where it felt appropriate, so I'm just putting it here. When I was first getting into music, the Black Album was extremely popular. Metallica was on the main Nothing But Rock station we had here in Portland, KUFO, and so to me, they were kind of the epitome of butt rock. It's a blessing in a lot of ways though, because now as an adult going through their discography and listening to their older albums and digging into the gear lore, I feel like I have a lot more appreciation for it than I would have back then. Regardless of how you feel about Metallica, they are certainly the biggest metal band of all time, and they have paved the way for metal in the mainstream, which is a pretty massive accomplishment, and I just wanted to take a second to sort of pay respect to that. Alright, hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Like I said, I had a great time making it, and I wanted to make sure to get all of this extra content out to you because I felt like there was a lot more tone questing to be done. If you like this video, make sure to let YouTube know by hitting the like button. If you really like what I do here, consider subscribing or being massively overpowered and joining these fine fellows over here on Patreon. And I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.